A very warm welcome to one and all. I'm Professor M.S. Patil, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samajas, Karmavir Advocate Baburao Ganpatrao Thakre College of Engineering, Nasik. Today, we will see the design procedure of quarter joint in this particular video. In the previous video, we have studied different types of loads and stresses, how to calculate the stresses. Today, we are going to design a quarter joint which is subjected to a static load P. First of all, what are the learning objectives? Learning objective, we are going to study what is quarter joint. We are going to study about the modes of failures of quarter joint and the design of quarter joint. Now, starting with what is a quarter joint? Quarter joint is also known as socket and spigot joint. There are three main components in the socket and spigot joint, that is quarter joint. One is called as spigot end. This particular end is called as spigot end, right? It's a solid part. There is the another part which is called as socket end, which is hollow from inside, and the inside diameter of socket is equal to the outside diameter of the spigot. And the third most important part in this assembly is the quarter. So this spigot is inserted in the socket, and then a quarter is held to hold the spigot and socket end together. Here we can see this is spigot, this is socket. Spigot is inserted in the socket, and the two things, socket and spigot, are held together by a tapered quarter. Taper is provided on the quarter in order to lock the quarter so that it should not go down. Generally, the main purpose of using this joint is to connect two coaxial rods. Mind it, the rods should be coaxial. There should be no linear misalignment between the axis of the shaft. Again, most important thing, it is used to connect two coaxial non-rotating rods. We cannot use quarter joint as a coupling to connect two shafts because shafts are rotating. Here we are using quarter joint for connecting two non-rotating rods. So they cannot transmit torque, but they can transmit forces. Now, 2D view of the quarter joint is shown over here. Right? This particular part is the socket. This is spigot and a tapered quarter. Quarter is tapered from one side only. Another side is straight. Okay, so these are the three different views. This is top view, this is front view, and this is side view of the quarter joint. Right, the main dimensions of this are shown over here. P is the tensile force to which the quarter joint is subjected to. D is the diameter of each rod. This is the diameter, and this is the diameter. D is the diameter of each rod. D1 is the outside diameter of socket. This is the outside diameter of socket. So it is D1, which is shown over here. D2 is the diameter of spigot or inside diameter of socket. As spigot is inserted inside the socket, therefore the diameter of the inside diameter of the socket and outside diameter of spigot should be same, which is equal to D2. D3 is the diameter of spigot collar, which restricts the movement of the spigot inside the socket. It touches the socket collar over here, and therefore the diameter of this spigot collar is D3. Similarly, diameter of socket collar is D4. Thickness of socket collar is C, and the distance between the slot and the spigot end is A. B is the mean width. Why we are calling it as mean width? Because it's a taper quarter. Therefore, the mean width of the quarter is B, and thickness of the quarter is T. And therefore, when we are talking about the slot which is made in the socket and the spigot, it's a rectangular slot with width B and thickness T. It is subjected to tensile force P. Now, talking about the stresses, right? Due to the action of this force P, the various elements in the quarter joint, that is socket, spigot, and quarter, will be subjected to different types of stresses: tensile stresses, crushing stresses, and shear stresses. Again, one thing must be very much clear, that we are not designing any mechanical element as a assembly. We are designing them as individual components only. So here also we will treat spigot as a separate element, rods as a separate element, cotter as separate element, and socket as a separate element. Okay, so today we will see step by step design procedure of the spigot and socket joint, that is cotter joint. First, tensile failures of rod. It's a tensile member. So if it is pulled, then the cross-sectional area will be pi by 4 d square subjected to tensile stress. Therefore, sigma t is equal to force upon area pi by 4 d square. Reshuffling this equation, we can calculate diameter from this equation. Next is the tensile failure of the spigot. Spigot will fail at the weakest section. Weakest section is the section where there is slot. So if we cut at the slot, we will see this particular cross section. Diameter is d2 and thickness is t. So pi by 4 d2 square is the diameter of this circle minus this rectangle. Rectangle is d2 into t. So when we are talking about tensile stress, sigma t is equal to force upon area pi by 4 d2 square minus d2 into t, and we can calculate the unknown things in this equation. There are two unknowns, d2 and t. The first unknown can be calculated using this empirical relation. Thickness of cotter is generally taken as 0.31 times diameter. Then tensile failure of socket. Again, the socket will fail at the weakest section. Weakest section is again where there is slot. So if we cut at the slot, we will see this thing, right? External diameter is d1, internal diameter is d2, and thickness is t. So pi by 4 d1 square minus d2 square will be the area of the hollow circle minus this rectangle d1 minus d2 into t. So we will get the area pi by 4 d1 square minus d2 square minus d1 minus d2 into t. So sigma t is again force upon area. So we can calculate the unknown things. Here the unknown will be d1. Next is the shear failure of the cotter. Now cotter is inserted between the socket and spigot. Therefore spigot will try to pull the cotter in this way and socket will try to pull the cotter in this way, and therefore there will be two shear planes. Right? The shear plane will be rectangular b into t. There are two shear planes, therefore the total shear of area will be 2 into b into t, and therefore tau will be force upon area 2 into b into t. So p is equal to 2 into b into t into tau. T is known, we can calculate the width of the cotter considering shear failure of cotter. Next is shear failure of spigot end. Now here, this is spigot. The cotter is inserted in the spigot. If we try to hold this spigot and try to pull the cotter in one direction, then this rectangular piece will come out, which will get sheared off over here and from the back side. The area sheared off area will be A into D2 multiplied by 2, as it is a double shear. Therefore, shear stress again force upon area. So shear stress P tau is equal to force upon area. One side area is A into D2 multiplied by 2, as it is double shear. We can calculate the value of A. Again, in the similar manner, we can talk about shear failure of socket end. Right? If we fix the socket over here and try to pull the cotter from that side, then sheared off area will come like this. It's a double shear again. D4 minus D2 into C will be one shear multiplied by 2. So it will be 2 D4 minus D2 into C. The area tau is equal to force upon area. C can be calculated using this equation. Next is the crushing failure of spigot end. Here, one thing must be noted that cotter and spigot, they are always in contact with each other and there is no relative motion between them. There is no relative motion between the spigot and the cotter, and therefore the weakest element will get localized compressed, and that area will be equal to T into D2, because D2 is the diameter and T is the thickness of the slot. So sigma crushing stress force upon area. So projected area will be T into D2. The unknown thing can be calculated. It was in the previous slide, it was crushing failure of spigot end. Similarly, we can go for crushing failure of socket end. And similarly, we can here also there is always cotter and socket end. They are always in contact with each other, and there is no relative motion, and therefore the crushed of area is shown over in the hatching portion over here. Okay, so it is D4 minus D2 into T. Okay, so sigma C is equal to force upon area, D4 minus D2 into The unknown parameter can be calculated. Then, if see here, when we are using shear failure of quarter and bending failure of quarter, when the quarter is tight in the socket and spigot, it is subjected to shear stresses, but it becomes loose, bending occurs. So we have to talk about bending failure of quarter also. When it gets loosed, then the forces are assumed to be in the socket as uniformly spigot is uniformly distributed, and in the socket as triangular, that is uniformly varying load, taking bending moments and calculate using flexural formula m upon I is equal to sigma upon y. We can calculate the bending stresses in the form of this equation. Sigma b is equal to this. Again, all parameters are known. We can calculate b, and if we consider shear failure and bending failure of quarter, we get two values of b, and we can select the larger value of b. Now we can summarize the entire design procedure. First, talking about the tensile failure, tensile failure of rod, we can calculate the diameter of the rod. Then we can calculate the thickness of the quarter as t is equal to 0.31 d from the empirical relation. Then we can calculate the diameter of the spigot, external diameter of spigot or internal diameter of socket D2 using tensile failure of the spigot end. Next, tensile failure of socket end, we can calculate the value of D1 from this particular equation, right? And then we can calculate D3 and D4 using this empirical relation, right? And we can go for calculating the dimensions A and C as 0.75 D. Okay, then we can check, we can calculate the width considering shear and considering bending. B can be calculated, and then finally we can go for checking crushing and shear stresses in spigot and crushing and shear stresses in socket. Here also we can calculate sigma c and tau for spigot, and here also we can calculate sigma c and tau for socket. And one must keep in mind that the calculated stresses should be always less than the permissible stresses for the safety of the joint. If they are safe, and then our joint is safe, then we can calculate the thickness of spigot collar T1 by using this empirical relation, and we can provide taper of the quarter as 1 in 32. So calculating all these things and checking the safety, we can design the quarter joint. Thank you for now. In the next lecture, we will talk about the again the design process of the quarter joint and solving the numericals of the quarter joint. Thank you.